Hello and welcome to our Q News video podcast. In today's Back to Basics series, we're going to talk about SD-WAN and redundant internet access. What is SD-WAN? It's defined as software-defined wide area network. Wide area network typically means going out to the internet, going out to some external carrier to provide connectivity. Typically this would be your ISP, your internet service provider. With SD-WAN, we have multiple ISPs. It could be one ISP, two ISPs, or more. And with redundant internet access, very similar to SD-WAN, and I'll explain the differences in just a minute, we have redundant internet service providers. What we do is we'll take both internet service providers and plug them into the firewall through the magic, and the firewall will bond them together to look like one interface. And then we can create our policies to take our local area network traffic and send it out to the internet, and based on the policies and where that traffic is going, and based on the cost of those two service providers, we may choose to send less important traffic out a lower cost provider and the more important traffic out to the more expensive provider. The beauty of the SD-WAN solution, if one of the service providers gets taken out by a backhoe, a power line going down, the surviving connection will handle all the traffic going out. Now there's some technical things. I'm talking about outbound traffic, not inbound traffic. There's DNS, and the way traffic comes into a network may require a few additional pieces. So right now we're going to focus on outbound traffic. Redundant internet access, typically we'll take both internet service providers, plug them into the firewall, and what we won't do is bond them together. We'll keep them as two separate pipes. And we will create a rule that if one pipe is no longer available, we'll go out the secondary pipe. Typically that secondary pipe might be more expensive or be lower bandwidth, and we just don't want to use it. We just want it to be there as a standby should something bad happen and we have to go into a failover mode. Things to consider when building an SD-WAN or looking at redundant internet access for your office. An example, if you're using Spectrum and you're using AT&T, or Comcast, or some other carrier, whichever two, how is that service getting into your facility? If they're both coming down the same roadway, coming down the same telephone poles, going through the same trench that goes into your building, both showing up at the same point in your building, all that common shared infrastructure, if it gets damaged, it's going to cut and sever all your connectivity. It's going to cut and affect both of your internet service pipes. So a consideration is if one's coming down from the north side of the street and you've got service, or you could get service coming down from the south side of the street, bring them into different areas of your building, going through different conduits into the building. If one gets severed, you'll still have connectivity through the surviving one. Let's talk about wireless. With the advent of 5G, it is now practical, and you get speeds up to 200 megabits per second to actually go with a wireless internet backup. Even at 4G, we can get speeds up to 50 megabits per second, which may be more than adequate for a business continuity solution. Considerations on 5G and 4G is if you fail over, that can get to be very expensive. And again, this is why you might want to consider a failover model versus an SD-WAN model. A couple of examples. We've got clients that are in industries that really can't afford to lose internet access. Actually, most clients, if they lose internet access, it's going to be a big deal. But imagine you're a small bank and you've only got a couple of branches and you need to process transactions. You need to get access to what's called your core provider. Having access to that core provider is oftentimes provided via the internet, or sometimes there's a separate router to the core provider and is accessible via the internet as a backup model. What we'll do is we can program the firewall that if one solution is not available, it fails over and goes out the other solution. Another good example is if you have multiple facilities. Typically in multiple facilities, oftentimes there'll be a dedicated link from one facility to the other facility. What that means is there may be a piece of fiber lit up or another carrier that's providing a direct connection between those two buildings and the network. You can also build a VPN over the public internet between those two facilities. And the way we would handle this situation is, should the dedicated link go down, we can program the firewall with the failover type technology. And we use FortiGate firewalls. The term is link monitor, to monitor the health. If we see the link monitor go down between facility A and facility B on the dedicated line, we can actually fail the link, fail the route, and then route that traffic over a VPN to provide continuity and access to the other facility. Internet access, connectivity to other facilities is becoming critical as organizations depend more and more on data to run their organization, to run their business. At QuintExus, we have a lot of experience in building redundant links for clients. We have lots of solutions. We work with lots of different carriers. If you have facilities with multiple sites, or if you're considering redundant internet access or SD-WAN for your organization, we have lots of experience in building out these type of solutions. To see if one might be right for you, please feel free to reach out to me or one of my associates. We'll be happy to get together, share with you some options, and see if there might be a good solution to help your organization build a more resilient network.